Hello and welcome to the Career Change Studio. This is the place to design and create a new working life so that you can live the way that you want and need in your next chapter. I'm Dana Stevens, certified career change coach, and I'm here to help you work out your next career move. I'm going to inspire you to think about this transition in brand new ways so that you can think differently about yourself and what's possible for you. You'll also learn how to build up your belief and self-confidence so that you can finally start taking action. This is about so much more than just getting another job. This is about changing the way you live your life for the better. Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Career Change Studio. And I want to talk to you today about indecision because so many clients start by saying to me, I'm really indecisive, or I'm not good at making decisions, or I don't know how to make decisions. And they really see that as something that's going to get in the way and stop them ever possibly making changes to their career. So I just want to explore that today, really delve into it and address indecision as a thing that you can move past. Because ultimately, if you want to move forward with changing your careers, we are going to need to start making some decisions, and you can, right? I'm going to talk to you about that today. I want to address two key things. Firstly, why you're feeling indecisive. And secondly, how you can start being more decisive, because I do believe and know that you can be more decisive. So let's talk about why, right? If you are thinking about changing your career or doing something different, it probably means that you've started thinking about multiple options, all the different avenues that you could go down. And you might be playing those scenarios or possible paths over and over in your head. It means that these thoughts are probably going round and round in circles in your mind. And I know that can be exhausting, right? It uses up so much mental energy. It can often mean that maybe you can't concentrate at work, or even if you're not at work, you're finding it hard to be present with your partner, friends, or family because it's constantly there, this constant hum that needs your attention. And if people ask you what you want to do, maybe because you're having conversations about doing something differently, or if you ask yourself, you might say, oh, I don't know what I want to do. And you might sit in this state of not knowing for weeks or months or even years. And you might even feel like you are taking action of sorts because you're asking lots of other people for their opinions, asking friends, colleagues, family members what you should do. You might even be doing lots of unfocused research, searching online or on LinkedIn, hoping that the answer is going to magically appear. But all the time that you're asking others or scrolling and searching, it means that you don't have to make a decision, right? But it's sort of a way of kind of staying in this state of indecision. And what I found is that some people do actually already know, maybe it's deep down, maybe it's not that close to the surface yet, what they want to do, but maybe they're just afraid of what that might mean. And if they admit what they really want to do, they will have to start taking action. And maybe they're not ready for that yet. And even if you don't really know what you want to do yet, staying in the not knowing actually feels safer. Because once you do make decisions, then inevitably you have to take some sort of action. And I get it, that can feel scary. The reality is that sitting in indecision feels safer because it's familiar to you. It's familiar to your brain. And I don't want you to worry if this is where you are. You don't have to feel bad about the fact that you're spinning in indecision. I really want to help you understand why you're there so that you can start taking steps to change it and not see this as like a part of the problem, but just a step in the process that most people do go through. The reality is that our brains are actually hardwired to seek comfort and avoid pain. The amygdala is the part of your brain that's often nicknamed the security guard because it's scanning for danger or anything it perceives as likely to cause danger or pain. So if you think of it as this overzealous job's worth, that's how I like to think of it, right? This part of your brain that's doing what it can to flag up anything and everything that's new or different. It really likes predictability. It likes it when you can be coasting along on autopilot without thinking too hard, because ultimately this requires less effort and our brain is programmed to minimize effort. So that means that the security guard is going to protect your comfort zone. It's going to try and keep you there because it perceives that as being more safe. And it can be helpful to sort of understand the origins of this quite primitive programming and how it actually was once super helpful to us as human beings. So let's say when we were living in caves, if we go back that far, any change, any move out of that cave that we were dwelling in, away from the familiar, away from what we knew, that was risky. It was potentially life threatening. Going out of the cave could involve meeting a hungry saber-toothed tiger. But what happens now is that our brain sets off the exact same alerts and fear responses when we're doing anything outside of our comfort zone. And the reality is that in our modern world, for most of us, that isn't actually life threatening. It's discomfort, not danger. Our comfort zone is figurative, right? It's not an actual cave, and anything outside of that is not actually dangerous. It might be uncomfortable, but it's not dangerous. And it's really helpful to start recognizing what your brain is programmed to do, and then just understanding that that's what it's offering up to us, and not seeing that as a major obstacle. Ultimately, nothing has gone wrong if you find yourself stuck firmly in your comfort zone. It's just your brain acting like it's been programmed to do, like a normal human brain has been programmed to do, trying to keep you safe, prioritizing that safety over the uncertainty of change. And then we get to question now, as modern, evolved humans, how necessary this fear response is for the changes we are actually facing in modern life. So, the first thing we can do when you find yourself stuck in your comfort zone is to really question how comfortable your comfort zone really is. And for most clients I work with, they're working with me because what was once a comfort zone is now not only extremely uncomfortable, but it's actually making them really unhappy. Being in a job that no longer fits is typically really affecting how you're feeling about yourself, right? It's typically affecting your self-worth, eroding your confidence, and that unhappiness seeps into all other areas of your life. It might be affecting relationships with your partner, your family, your friends. You might be taking out your frustration on those closest to you. You might be finding it hard to feel present. And you might be constantly questioning yourself, and this is affecting how you show up in other areas of your life as well. And if you just don't feel like you anymore, you might be feeling really overwhelmed and starting to drop the things that really help you feel like you. Typically, that looks like stopping exercising, eating badly, no longer making time for friends or hobbies, or just feeling so exhausted at the end of the day that you've got no energy left. So you feel like you can only just about make it home from work and collapse on the sofa. It can affect your sleep. You might even have increased anxiety. Ultimately, it can even lead to all sorts of mental health challenges. And this might look like starting to feel burnt out at work, or even getting to the point where you reach full medical burnout, causing your body to say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And you might even get confined to bed for weeks or even months. That can happen. So if any of this resonates with you, I really want you to think about this. If your comfort zone is no longer comfortable, and actually for you it might be a place of pain or unhappiness, you have to get real about overriding your brain's primitive programming. When your brain tries to tell you that staying in the familiar, the known, is safer or easier than making a decision and making changes, you have to be ready with your counterargument. So you have to be ready to acknowledge that change is not going to be the thing that takes you out of your comfort zone. You're already out of it. You're already uncomfortable. So the risk we're looking at isn't actually as great as your brain is offering. And what you're actually choosing between is staying where you are in the certainty of being uncomfortable or potentially in pain if things have got that bad for you. And yes, the uncertainty of change, but that comes with a really high chance of feeling so much better than the pain and discomfort you might be in now. You already know that staying where you are isn't serving you now and definitely won't be serving you in the long term. So I'd just like to offer that you can ask yourself these questions and really think about your personal situation. Why am I actually looking to make changes in the first place? What am I feeling now that isn't working for me anymore? And crucially, what happens if I don't make any changes? What is really certain about staying here? And what will the impact of staying here really be on me? How will it affect me emotionally? How will it affect my health? Maybe my physical health, my mental health? How will it affect my relationships? Based on this, you can make a decision right now. You can make a decision that you are not going to sit in indecision. Because trust me, choosing to stay in indecision is a choice. It doesn't feel like it is. It feels like you're not choosing anything, but you are. You're choosing to stay with what's familiar through this false belief that it is safer. So you can choose right now that you're not going to choose indecision anymore. Try choosing a direction to start figuring things out. And that's what I want to talk to you about next. How can you be less indecisive? If you decided, made decision number one, I'm going to start making decisions, let's look at how you make more of those decisions. So the first thing you need to do is a simple thing, really. You have to stop telling yourself that you are indecisive. When you tell yourself that in this definitive way, I am indecisive, I am an indecisive person, it sounds and feels very final, very complete. Like this is just part of my personality that will never change. But here's the thing, there are loads of parts of our personality that are just ideas, thoughts we have about ourselves, thoughts we share with other people about us, ideas that other people have offered to us. But they are not set in stone, and mostly our brain tries to prove these narratives to be true, and our thoughts about our personality become a self-fulfilling prophecy. What you're saying to yourself when you say, I'm indecisive, is, I'm not good at making decisions, I don't know how to make decisions, I don't trust myself to make decisions. So your brain will go, okay, I don't have to try because I'm not any good. What's the point? It doesn't practice, it doesn't get better, and there's no space for it to attempt to improve or attempt decisions. I want you to think of it like this. If you were talking to a child, let's just say we're imagining this 6-year-old girl, and you were asking them what they wanted for their dinner. Then before they had a chance to answer you, you told them, actually, you're not good at making decisions, you're just really indecisive. And the next time they were trying to make a decision, let's say pick a book to read, you'd say to them, oh, you can't, you're just too indecisive. Or they were picking what to wear the next morning. Instead of encouraging them, you said, no, you're just too indecisive, you're not good at making decisions. What do you think would happen? They would start to think that they weren't capable of making decisions. They would start to really believe that they weren't capable of making decisions. They would think that they didn't have what it takes. They would constantly rely on someone else or look for other people to make decisions for them. Or they'd enter this state of paralysis and never make a decision. They might end up with an outfit that didn't fit properly or was uncomfortable because they let someone else choose. Or they'd end up with a book that they didn't like reading, or no book at all, because they were too overwhelmed by the choice because they didn't know how to choose between them. And over time, they'd stop trying to make decisions because their confidence would not only be eroded, but crucially, they would never have developed the skills to enable them to make a decision. They would never have determined their own personal criteria to help them make decisions. They wouldn't have pondered, what do I like about certain books? What book am I in the mood for now? They would never have picked the wrong book and then realised what made it the wrong book. They would never have thought, what type of book do I want to read when I'm sad or happy or tired? They wouldn't have learnt how to flex those decision-making muscles. And that is exactly what you are doing to yourself. If you're constantly telling yourself that you're indecisive, you're not allowing yourself to get better at making decisions. You're not allowing yourself to determine your own personal criteria for decision-making. You are shutting yourself down. And I use that image of a young girl really deliberately because we see them as impressionable, we see them as vulnerable, but that is how you are, even as an adult. You are listening to yourself constantly, and you are being shaped by what you're telling yourself that you are capable of. So from today, instead of "I'm too indecisive," I want you to try and say this to yourself instead: "I am working on figuring it out." Next time someone asks you what you're going to be doing next or how you're going to change careers, or maybe you're just asking yourself, and maybe you say to them or to yourself, "Oh, I don't know, I'm just really indecisive." I want you to pause, rephrase it, and say, "That's not true about me anymore. I'm actually working on figuring this out." Because this opens your brain up. It allows you to start thinking of options. It allows you to explore what you might want or might need. It gives you permission to start actually figuring things out. And how are you going to go and figure it out? This is important. The thing you're going to do is you're going to start creating a criteria for how you make this type of decision. You're going to get honest with yourself. Even if you don't have all the answers, I bet you do know some things. So start there. Write down what you do know. Your brain will try and take you to everything that you don't know. Don't let it. Write down everything that you do know that might help you make this decision. Then, based on those things that you do know, what else do you want or need to find out? You don't have to start with all the answers. Your first step can be questions. What questions do I need to ask myself? What questions do I need to ask other people to get the answers I need to start making at least the first decision? And remember, we often tell ourselves that these life changes are down to these huge decisions, but actually it's lots of small decisions that all help us create a clearer criteria for how we want to live and work. And these add up to a larger decision that we can make more easily. So I hope that you found that useful. I hope thinking differently about indecision has just sparked some different thoughts for you and helped to inspire you to approach it in a different way. And I really want you to think that being indecisive is not a permanent personality trait. It's a temporary set of behaviours that you can change. Trust me, you can change it. And if you do want help making some of those smaller decisions, answering some of those questions that will help you decide what to do next in your working life, come and talk to me, because that is what I do with my career change coaching clients all the time. Help them figure out their personal criteria. Help them figure out what they really want and need in this next chapter so that they can be more confident in their decision making. So you might really benefit from one-to-one coaching support. Come and talk to me about how it works and whether it's a good fit for you. Right, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. And as always, any feedback about the podcast is welcome. Let me know what's sparking new ways of thinking for you, what's inspiring you, and if there are any topics you'd love to hear more about. Until next week, bye for now. And if you want to start making changes to your working life, come and talk to me. You can book a free consultation with me where we'll talk about your personal situation, what's really holding you back, and what you can do differently to start making changes. I'll let you know what type of career change coaching is going to help you, and you can ask me any questions about your personal situation or about my proven process, the Life First Career Method, a method that helps people like you change your career so that you can change your life. Just visit my website, danastevens.com. That's DANASTEVENS.com, and click on the link to book a consultation. Or you can find the link in the show notes. If you've enjoyed this podcast, make sure you get your weekly fix of inspiration and career change guidance by clicking follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you'd like to rate and review the podcast, that would really help me get this in front of people who also might be feeling stuck and lost. So I'd really appreciate your help. And if you know anyone, friends, family, even colleagues, who might be thinking about changing careers, please do share this podcast with them. You might just be the person that helps them change their lives for the better.